Hello, everyone. My name is William Taipan. Taipan William. Today is November 2nd. And it's time to report again today. I mainly want to analyze with you the budget of the British Labour Party and the new Prime Minister shouting for bright days. Can he really lead Britain to greatness again? This Wednesday, British Chancellor of the Exchequer Reeves announced the budget. This is the first fiscal budget of the Labour Party to return to power in nearly 14 years. With a significant increase of £40 billion in taxes with an attitude of not letting go, it is a disappointing budget, reflecting the lack of experience and mature leadership talent of a Labour government that has not been in power for 14 years. When it came to power, it first shouted that there was a fiscal gap of £22 billion, which was a huge dilemma, declared Britain bankrupt, blamed the Conservative Party for responsibility, and raised the need for economic growth. Invest, attract a lot of attention from the market. They have completely forgotten the impact of Brexit, the lockdown of COVID-19 and the Russia-Ukraine war in the past few years under the pretext of a fiscal gap of £20 billion. He forgot to show his promise during the election with the posture of adding and subtracting. He opened the knife to the people, and also put on a savior posture, shouting leading Britain into a bright day. In addition to the tax increase, I can't see any good way for the Labour government to revive the economy. The policies provided are not new, which is really confusing. Take a closer look at the main contents of the budget. 1. The employers' National Insurance NI contribution ratio will be increased by 1.2 percentage points to 15%. That is, the tax will be increased by 8.7%. This seriously aggravates the burden on the company and increases the pressure on employment market. In fact, the employer's option is to lay off staff, freeze wages, increase the price and transfer the cost to the end customers. The minimum wage will be raised by 6.7% to £12.21 per hour. At the same time, raise the national minimum wage for the age group of 18 to 20 by 16.3% to £10 per hour. This aggravates the burden on the employer, and in the end, they are all transferred to those who sell, causing the inflation at the end. 3. The personal income tax rate will remain unchanged, and the freezing period of the income tax starting point will last until 2028 to 9, without adjustment. However, in the environment of high inflation, the tax burden of the people will not be alleviated. The concept of non-tax residents will be abolished from April 2025, and a large number of non-tax residences will be included in the tax network, which will scare away a large number of professionals and cause a shortage of talents. For capital gains tax (CGT), capital gains tax will be increased to 24%. The lower grade capital gains tax rate will be increased from 10% to 18%, and the higher grade tax rate will be increased from 20% to 24%. This greatly hurts the intention of investment. 5. Property stamp duty. In England and Northern Ireland, the stamp duty on the buyer and landlord of the second house will be increased. The additional stamp duty rate will be increased from 3% to 5% and will take effect immediately, October 31st. On the one hand, it affects the public's investment in real estate, and on the other hand, it also seriously affects the sale of the stock for reduction of debt by developers. In fact, building materials have risen by 20% to 30% in recent years, and labor and taxes have risen by 10% to 20%, which has made developers and investors reduce investment intentions. So how to help the government solve the housing problem? 6. Inheritance tax (IHT). The tax threshold is frozen until 2028. The Labour Party will extend it for another 2 years until 2030. This means that the first £325,000 of any inheritance can be inherited tax-free if the inheritance includes a residence passed on to direct descendants. The tax-exempt amount will be increased to £500,000, and the excess part will be subject to 40% tax compared with the tax-free inheritance of £12.92 million, i.e. £10 million in the United States. The remaining tax rates range from 18 to 40%. With a gap of more than 20 times the British inheritance tax is so high that it can be said to be outrageous, which will drive away the rich, cause capital wealth to flow out, and reduce investment in UK. It could be said that the whole set of tax system causes the poor continue to lie flat. The middle class and the rich have to feign one thing while doing another. Finally, the talent and capitals run away from UK if Britain does not fundamentally reform the tax system or establish a special tax zone. It will be difficult to make Britain great again. Judging from the budget, Prime Minister Starmer has not yet recognized the root of the problem. He is just shouting slogans. How can he lead the people to usher in a bright day? It is a question mark. Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is a prosecutor himself, has no experience in governing in the cabinet before, and has innate shortcomings and limitations in his personality. 1. Image contradiction. Politicians usually need to show the ability to govern, and the background of prosecutors may make people question whether they can effectively conduct political consultations and compromises. 2. Fairness. The role of prosecutors requires objectivity and fairness, and when they turn to the political field, he may be accused of lack of neutrality or being regarded as biased. 3. Limitations of policy understanding. Prosecutors mainly focus on legal affairs, and may not have deep understanding and experience in other fields such as economic and social policies. This budget has fully reflected Prime Minister Starmer's serious lack of cognitive and management skills in economic and social policy. 4. The impact of past cases. The prosecutor's career may involve sensitive cases, and the controversy of these cases may be raised in his political career, affecting his image. 5. Communication skills. Legal professionals are usually trained in written and formal communication, while politicians need more flexible communication methods to meet the needs of the public and the media. Starmer was disappointed as soon as he appeared on the field. 6. The contradiction of voters' expectations. Voters may have high moral standards and fair expectations for prosecutors, and any mistake may be amplified. Starmer received some small benefits, such as football tickets, clothing sponsorship, etc. as soon as he appeared on the field. He was rated by the media, making a big article, affecting his image to disappoint voters. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been in office for less than 100 days. These weaknesses have emerged and may seriously affect his decision-making and public image. I hope that he and the cabinet members will realize their own shortcomings, grasp the national conditions and serve the people as soon as possible, reduce taxes and establish special tax zones, solve the fundamental problems of economy and people's livelihood, and lead Britain to greatness again. That's all for today's comments. Thank you for listening. Please remember to leave a message, subscribe, like and share. Thank you, everyone. Bye.